Hi everybody, it's Emily from To Read Her Heart. And before we talk about my Unhaul, I am going to share with you my Summerween pick for this year. I don't normally participate in Summerween, but I have this nifty idea I wanted to share that anyone could participate in. It doesn't involve anything gross and creepy and scary. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a nifty way to revisit books that have the potential to be good reads. Summerween is basically, if you don't know, Halloween in summer, kind of like Christmas in July. It's just another opportunity to celebrate a holiday that you're impatient for that comes at the end of the year. Typically, people read horror or something spooky, but I'm going to avoid all that. It'll still be on theme. It's just a spin on an idea. This year, I'm going to listen to The Huntress by Carrie Cotten. And what makes this Summerween-esque was I had originally DNF'd it. So I'm essentially bringing this book back from the DNF graveyard. It's a veritable zombie read, if you will. I originally DNF'd it because the author incorporates a dialect into her dialogue, and that sort of thing totally throws me off. My brain glitches as soon as each word comes up that's unusual. And so it took me out of the story frequently. And then the beginning is rather dreary. So it was hard for me to get into. But in recent days, so many other booktubers have spoken fondly of it. And I have an Audible credit I need to use. So with the need to use my Audible credit, this book being in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe I could listen to it. Maybe listening to it will be an easier time and help me to get more immersed in the story than reading did. And so I looked into it, and I saw it was dual narrated. I love dual narration. Sometimes women can do a good job narrating a male voice, and sometimes men can do a good job narrating a female voice, but it's always ideal to have the appropriate gender narrator narrate the part of the female and male characters. So I went ahead and got the book with my credit, and I started listening to it. And I didn't realize that it was a dramatized version. So we've got sound effects, we've got singing, and I'm pretty impressed by the performances of both actors. And I was right, listening to it, the accent is a lot easier to digest than reading it was. So far so good with my zombie pick for Summerween. And if any of you like this idea and want to give a book that you DNF'd a second shot, and you want to use Summerween as an excuse like I did, go ahead and do that and let me know so that we can talk about our read, how they went the second or even the third time, if you DNF'd it twice or multiple times prior. Now we're going to talk about my Unhaul, all the books I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to take these books to my used bookstore for some credit. These books, some of them I liked, and I just don't feel the need to keep anymore because I don't reread. Some of them I DNF'd a book in the later part of the series, so I'm just getting rid of that book and the whole series. And one book I bought for my sister, and she didn't need it or want it. Actually, I bought 2 copies of a book for my sister, so I'm left with the second copy, and I don't care to read it. All right, and that book is Dengeki Daisy. It's a manga. I'm not even sure what it's about, but I guess I was super excited to buy it for her birthday, and I bought 2 copies of volume 1. So I don't need it. I don't want to read it. And then I've got the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. I enjoyed the read. It's much faster to watch the movies, and I feel like the movies are almost exactly like the books. I think they did a great job staying true to the books. So if I want to revisit the story, I'll just watch the movies. This very pretty edition of Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. It's got gold edges. I read it. It was fine. Not a favorite. I don't feel the need to keep it. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This was an underwhelming read for me. I liked the world. The characters were sort of bland, and then the ending seemed forced. I wasn't very impressed. I like Brandon Sanderson as an author, but this book didn't quite hit. And then Bonesmith and Ghostsmith by Nikki Pau Preto. Hard to see from the glare. These were fine. I like the first book more than the second. It's a very interesting duology. It's called the Dead Duology. I don't feel like it needs to stay with me. I don't mind passing it along to somebody else who might enjoy it more. Incendiary, book 1 of a duology by Zoraida Cordova. This was a captivating listen. It's actually included with your Audible subscription, except the content got to be too much. I had to stop. I didn't feel comfortable reading it anymore, which is a shame because it had the potential to be a good book. Blood Air by Amelie Wen Zhao. I got through the entirety of this book, but the themes and occasional content, none of the content I mentioned is explicit. It's just, in that it walks the line between what I consider appropriate and inappropriate. And it did that a little bit too often in this book. It read like a movie. I mean, it had me hooked. But the themes and some of the language that was used, I couldn't justify continuing the series. And so might as well just get rid of the book as well. And then we've got 3 books by Cinda Williams Chima. I have book 1, 2, and 4. I DNF'd book 2. Book 1 is The Demon King. Book 2 is The Exiled Queen. And then book 4 is The Crimson Crown. Cinda Williams Chima is a very talented author, and she built a rich world in this series, and there wasn't anything majorly inappropriate that I can remember. I mean, it's a fantasy world, so there's not and it's a YA series, so there's not very much language. I guess not that means much anymore about YA, but this is a true to the genre YA novels. There's not really any language. There's no sexual content. There's a bit of violence, but it got caught up in the YA angst of, we're young and we want relationships and I need to pursue this here and there. And it's all about, can I get with this person? And it was too distracting. I like romance, but this wasn't romantic. This was just, can I get with this person? It's the yuckier side of YA. So I lost interest and I won't be continuing the series. There's a series that she wrote that follows the conclusion of this series that I might give a chance because people really like that one. I don't recall the name. I'll put it on the screen. you had to read this prequel series so that you wouldn't miss out, because the following series has a bunch of spoilers for this series. But I don't mind being spoiled since I DNF'd it. We might give that a go. And then I've got Privateer and Kingmaker by Margaret Weiss and Robert Kramies. These are book 2 and 3. And it's called the Dragon Brigade Trilogy. It's a swashbuckling dragon steampunk fantasy. And I came across these books at my library sale. I thought I'd give them a chance. I was listening to book 1, and despite it being a fictional world, the characters used GD pretty frequently when it got towards a certain part of the book. And I don't like that. That sort of language is not okay for me. And I'm not even sure why they used it. But it was too much. And I wasn't super interested in the storyline. I was waiting for it to pick up. And so it was kind of easy to pick an excuse to stop. But it's not, I don't tolerate that sort of language for very long or very often either. So, bye-bye. I have one DVD. It's called Fireworks. It's about a girl who doesn't want to move away, and she finds a timepiece or time turner and turns back time to relive a special celebration with another high schooler. It was boring. It was visually very stunning, but the story and the characters, no. And then we have the first 3 books of the Witchlands series by Susan Dennard. We've got book 1, Truth Witch, book 2, Wind Witch, book 3, Blood Witch. Now, even though it's called fill in the blank witch, this isn't about witchcraft. People with powers, they're just referred to as witches. So we've got the main character who can sense lies, so she's a truth witch. And then another character, there's 5 perspectives. He can manipulate the wind, he's a wind witch. And then there's people who can sense and manipulate blood. They're called blood witches. And then there's other people who can manipulate water or sense emotions. The powers are very interesting. The world is very dynamic. I think the author did an excellent job building that up. And I was ready to go the full 5 books on this series. Despite all the perspectives of me only having a few favorites, I was still willing to read through those to get to the end. However, Blood Witch, book 3, the author inserted her political opinions with the subtlety of a bull in a china shop. And it wasn't frequent, but it was regular enough to become very annoying. And then she added another perspective that I didn't care about. So we were up to 6 perspectives, and I only cared about 2. So it was getting to be like, yay, my 2 perspectives, and then the next perspective, and then the next perspective, and then the next, and then the next. Finally, back to my 2. And that dragged the book out. Then there were themes that I didn't like, that she was going full force on, treating her readers like we were dumb, that she was trying to hammer home these points so thoroughly that it became insulting, honestly. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But that would be the last of the Unhaul. I'll be saying bye to these books and DVD. I'm not sad about it. Make room for all my new books. If you read any of these and you liked them and I said I didn't, I'm not trying to insult you. We each have our own tastes. I think that's what makes life interesting. And so if you want to share with me what you liked about some of the books that I got rid of, then feel free to do so. I'd love to see where you're coming from. And if you got rid of some books recently, tell me the title and why. And then maybe I could avoid the book to save me some time. But thank you so much for sitting with me. I'll let you know how the Huntress goes. I'm almost halfway through. Wish me luck. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.